Okay, we are going to begin our next session. And let me remind you that we still have two different tracks. Here, in a few seconds, Sasha Kulachikova will start her presentation about Yandex.Metrica. And on the third floor, in the track number 2, there is an interesting case of our big partner and our big client, Ozon.ru. It's like Amazon almost. It started with a bookstore online. Now they sell everything. It's a huge marketplace, and their predictive analytics is really, really great for the business. There will be interesting case upstairs. Okay, let's start. Sasha, please come on stage. Take clicker.
Thank you.
Here you go.
Hallo, wie geht's? Good? Ich spreche Deutsch sehr schlecht. So I will speak English or Russian. Russian is good? Okay. It depends. So, who was here last year on Yandex Expert Summit? Oh, a couple of people. Okay. And last time we discussed about how Yandex.Metrica can help you to investigate your customers' behavior. And today we will go deeper. What does it snow here? Interesting. Yeah, I have a pretty interesting landscape. Okay, so for those who doesn't know what Yandex.Metrica is, it's actually a web analytical system. So pretty popular ones. Actually, it is the second most popular analytical system in the world. Who didn't know it? Me, seriously. I didn't know before I checked at this kind of services. So sometimes clients like Metrica because of it's totally free. Sometimes because it's it can provide you all the data and other interesting reports. But sometimes they just like to see the session replays before they go to sleep. Okay, in Yandex.Metrica we are trying to answer that questions you as website owners, as advertisement managers, as analysts may possibly have. And today I will show you a couple of stories about how we, together with our clients, are solving these kind of problems and issues. Let's start with the story about me. I like to travel. And 2 weeks ago, I was at Paris on the SMX conference, Search Media Expo or something like that. And I decided to stay in Paris because I like the city, and I need to book something, some room to stay. Okay, the windows are closing. Okay, so I decided to book a room. And what you can do for it? Of course, I can go to online booking store. And sometimes booking services are doing this tricky tricks with us and showing different prices because of IDs, because of IP or device type or operational system or something like that. So I decided to make an experiment. First, I looked for a price from my laptop. It's MacBook, actually. Then I have my phone number, like my phone is actually like pretty old one. And just for such cases, I have an old laptop with Windows and Internet Explorer. And you know what? In every single price, I have a slightly different prices for every single device. I just want you to keep in mind that kind of customer behavior. Everybody can come to your website and from different devices. And let's look at the other more classical example. So, for example, that guy is going to buy some nerdy T-shirt, and he doesn't want to do it from his mobile phone, but want to make it from his laptop because it's more convenient for him. And after that, he uses his tablet to pick up his order. So in that case, we have a really big issue. We already discussed it on the sessions this morning. So what is the issue? First, for tracking service, I'm like 3 different users, actually. But there is one more side of this problem. How do you think? What is it? What is the other side of the problem of tracking this kind of users? Waiting for your answers. I have actually like some small gifts. Okay, I will. Yeah. So the problem is actually that it's not only one user for. We are not only need to track this person as one user, but we also need to define what ad traffic or just traffic source brings us conversion. And in the case of that kind of user paths, we just can't assign this conversion to that traffic source. So in my case, when I made research with the different devices, it was just last traffic source, type in, and for example, that first and second traffic sources just got nothing. Because like tracking system can see me as an actual user. So as you may heard, in Yandex we are dealing with these kind of problems and we are trying to solve it. So we are using the combination of 2 different approaches of deterministic tracking, when we can get the information about actual logins or about user IDs, and probabilistic tracking, when we are using machine learning algorithms to possibly say that this user is actually the same user from the different device. So if I would be that online booking service or that online store, I would look at these numbers and realize that actually from users who comes to my website, both from mobile and desktop, I get 10 times higher conversion rate. And these kind of users bring me about 11% of revenue. So these kind of reports called cross-device, and it is available in Yandex.Metrica. We just released it a couple of weeks ago. So there you can see not only these numbers about the conversions from the user from mobile or both mobile and desktop, but you also can see the how many days, for example, how many visits users need to make a conversion. Like in this example, I see that a lot of my visitors are coming to my website and convert from different devices on the second visit or on the third, on the fifth visit, and that's all. So, but moreover, I can see in this report the real impact of each traffic source and see how that traffic sources and that advertisement gives me that conversions from the real users. Okay, so here is the one example of how we can solve the problem with user tracking. But there is one more example. Let's look closer to this guy and assume that he actually doesn't make a purchase online, but he just chooses some nerdy t-shirt, and then he went to this offline shop and then shopped something there. What problem do we have here? how we can track that offline data about his offline purchase and apply it to our online data about that history of this user we already have in Yandex.Metrica. So if you are working with your clients, of course you know that there is life behind the computer, and a lot of people are doing a lot of different stuff. They are calling you, and it's actually offline data. They can come to your offline web stores. You can you can close the deals with them as an agency, and all this happens offline. And of course, we are not able to track it easily with online tracking service. But in Yandex.Metrica, we can solve these kinds of problems. So what kind of cases we can solve? The case with offline shopping, then something happens offline, then people are coming to your offline store. The case of closing the deals. For example, you as an agency received an order from one client, but of course, to close the deal, you need to make some different steps. For example, to sign an agreement, to receive a payment. And it may take pretty a lot of time. And actually, you can send all this data to Yandex.Metrica now. You also can track your calls from your websites. And there is one more online case. For example, you have an online shop, and people can pay you from third-party payment services. And that payment services doesn't redirect your users back to your thank you page. Of course, in that case, you're unable to track this kind of conversions because you don't have this kind of conversions. So in Yandex.Metrica, you can send the data about these kind of conversions and about the calls right to the interface and receive that kind of report where you can see all the data related to traffic sources and get the information about how people are coming to your website from the different traffic sources online, how they are performing their conversions online, and then how deals are closing offline. And of course, moreover, you can get the information about the revenue each traffic source brings you online and offline. So how exactly we are tracking it? People are coming to your website and giving you some information about them. For example, they can place an order, they can fill out the form, they can give you their loyalty card number or their phone number. Or they can just call you with a dynamic number which call tracking provides them. In that case, we can get all the data about that people, and also with their data, we can get their client IDs and store all this data together in CRM system. So then there are any changes, for example, change of the status of order or just order have been completed, you can download all the data together with client IDs from your CRM system and upload this data right into the interface by your hands or with API. And one more point is here is that call trackers are actually can do it all for you. It means that, yeah, here is it. It means that call trackers, we have a couple of call trackers, actually pretty long list of call trackers natively integrated with Yandex.Metrica, which can get all the data about the calls and provide it to Yandex.Metrica. So this kind of solution has a couple of interesting opportunities. There we can see the exact funnel and real conversions of people. And there we can see the real impact of advertisement systems and different traffic sources. We can apply for that conversions any attribution model which Yandex.Metrica can provide you. And actually we can see how our call center is working, like is it good or not. Of course we can compare different types of conversion or calls between them. Not only for analytics we can use it, but also for advertisement. And create, for example, retargeting lists, or make a bid adjustments, or use all this data in Yandex direct strategies. And one more point, that here we can use all this data to create a lookalike segments. For example, to find out where and find that people who is similar to that people who, sorry, who is similar to that people who is converting offline or calling us offline. Yeah, I mentioned that we can check how our call center is working. So we never be in that kind of situation. And all the data about the calls and about the offline conversions, we can use in Yandex.Metrica segmentation. So here, for example, we are segmenting that people who was answered, and they said they have a gold status. So, our solution, we just released a couple of months ago, and it actually gives you different opportunities. Here we can record the exact time, and it means that you can send the information about your offline data, offline conversions and calls, even after it happened like a week ago, for example. And we can store this data, and we can receive all this data with Excel files or with APIs. And it means that you won't be able to see any spam or traffic distortions on your reports. And actually, to create the files, to upload these kind of conversions, doesn't take a lot of time, and it's pretty simple. So here we can see that we can solve two types of issues: track the users and track their offline events. But when we are researching into the customer journey, we need to think not about the whole picture, but also the every step of this picture. And here I can divide all this data for two levels. The macro level, when we are looking at our whole journey as a whole way, and micro level, when we are looking at each step of this person, and we are investigating what is actually happens during the session. Why do they need to get this information about the session? In Yandex.Metrica we have a session replay, and it actually provides you different information about what happens, how people are clicks on each elements, how they're moving their mouse and that kind of stuff. Usually people are using it for to find the problems. So, for example, if there are any like errors, or people can get the information, people can get what they need to do or something like that. But I would like to advise you to use it the other way, to track their actual scenarios. For example, you have loyal users, and that loyal users perform the same scenarios, and you can use it to get the information about their next steps, and think about how to improve their experience on your website. Let me show you one example of our colleagues, Yandex Maps. Actually, it is like the old interface of Yandex Maps, and once they decided to change it because it was pretty old, and they just decided not to just change it by like designers or something like that. They decided to investigate how people are exactly using that kind of interface. And they realized that people, when they are looking for some object, for some like cafe or I don't know, pharmacy or something like that, they actually are clicking on the pharmacy card, for example, and after that they need to find out how to get to that point, how to get to that like offline store or something else. Usually they not using these kind of buttons, how to get there, or they just, how do you think, what do they do with this card? Just closing it. So, with this card, they could use this button, how to get there. It's orange one. But most of them never used it. They just copy-pasting the address and putting it to the how to get there tab. And then they just typing in the exact point where they are now. And of course, that kind of behavior you never find in aggregated reports when you will look at the whole history. You will find it only when you look in the session replay. So here we are solving this problem about how to work with different people which are performing, behaving differently on our website. But we need to think not only about the like present, but we need to think about the future of these people. And in Yandex.Metrica, we decided to predict a future a little bit. So with one of our clients, which is one of the top, actually, online stores in Russia, top do-it-yourself online stores, we decided to use the whole customer history they have, and use it to find out when people will make a next conversion, and apply all this data to their advertisement solutions. So in this kind of approach, we don't need actually to have an attribution models. Why? How do you think? Why we don't need attribution model, standard attribution model, like last click, like first click? Okay, I will keep all this by myself. So, actually, it's because we are using all the history, and through all this history, user can come to our website and can return to our website from different traffic sources. And when we're looking at this whole path, we can see the whole like list of these traffic sources. And we can apply all this data to get the insights about their next step. So, of course, it's not really easy to create that kind of attribution modeling and that kind of machine learning algorithm. So we need to make sure that we are collected all the data in the right way. we need to build a model based on this data, and we need to use all this data to set up our tracking and to set up our advertisement. In that case, we used all our Yandex tools we have. In Yandex.Metrica, we have a logs API, where you can get all non-aggregated data. And all this non-aggregated data we collected and worked on with ClickHouse. And we calculated based on ClickHouse. It's a data management system. So we calculated there all that customers' features which are actually most relevant to the next conversion. And based on that calculation, we created our machine learning algorithms. There are a lot of features which users can have, and we used all of them. But of course, not all of them are significant. How do you think? Which user characteristics are most important for that kind of online stores? Date of last purchase. You're actually right. Finally, I can give it to someone. What's next? One more. Okay, here is the top most significant, most important features for this exact online store. It is the date of last days since last visit. Of course, it is the date of purchase. It is the date of visit when purchase happened. It is the revenue which online store got from this exact person. And here you can see the numbers of importance. So each of these characteristics are tracked every day. And based on these characteristics, we built our machine learning algorithms to predict the next conversion. So, long story short, our machine learning algorithm based on XGBoost, and it has a pretty high quality metric. It's actually 0.9. It means that in 90%, we can predict the next conversion. It's actually pretty high. And to do all this calculation, we need to check if we are doing all it right. For that, we checked it twice, 3 times, 5 times, 7 times. So we checked it on our old data, and we checked it on the new data to make sure that we are doing all this right. One more sad thing. Actually, not all of your users, even if you're using machine learning algorithms, even when you're predicting their future, are not actually going to make a conversion. And it's not a magic unicorns if you're using machine learning. It's just a solution which can help you in the future. So, all these people will be divided to different groups and different segments. First segment has a probability more than 50%. And last segment has really low probability of purchase. And as I said, we calculated all these segments on a daily basis and calculated it for each user came or haven't come to our website. Of course, we updated all this and sent it all to advertising system. So when we were starting to update all this on the daily basis, we need to check if we are calculating all right. So here is the comparison of excellent groups and average conversion rate. And actually you see that excellent group, they're really cool people. They are do conversion really a lot. And then when we decided that all this settled, we decided to make an experiment and to do some advertisement based on our calculations, where we can apply these calculations to remarketing lists, to bid adjustments, and to do a small A/B tests in advertisement. So here is some results of our calculations, our machine learning algorithm working. You can see here that with adjustments, we have a little bit higher CPC, cost per click. But actually our conversion rate is much higher than when we are not using that kind of machine learning algorithms. And the cherry on the pie, we have twice time increasing in revenue. So for this exact client, we have really interesting results. And they actually keep going to using these attribution model predictions. So their revenue grew up to 100%. And their conversions grew also. Of course, their costs also grew a little bit. But it actually doesn't matter for them because that their revenue can cover all these costs. So where else they can use all these machine learning algorithms and predictions? Not only for analysis, not only for advertisement, but also to create the segments for example, direct marketing, or to use it in third-party DMPs, for example. Here I can show you that when we are starting to use machine learning, we don't have to use like some expensive tools. We can use our bright hands and sharp minds. And we just can here in this case, we were using only totally free products which Yandex can provide you. So in my speech, I made a few examples of how we can solve the problems of user tracking, the problems of offline data tracking, and the problems of predicting their next actions. And I think that next time I will show you something even more interesting. So thank you, be customer-centric.